So, welcome our illustrious panel.
Thank you.
Brilliant. So we've got Tamsin, Kate, and Theo. We're going to talk to us about leadership insights. Welcome, everyone. Cool.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us here. We are going to ask each other some questions, and then if we have time at the end, you guys can ask us some questions. So I will kick off with the first one.
Some quick instructions.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just did that on my last session.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You introduced yourself. Okay, sorry, I haven't done a panel yet, sorry.
Yes.
So, I'm Kate Karimson. I'm Chief Commercial Officer at a company called R3. R3 is all about bringing DLT to capital markets. So we're about digital assets and central bank digital currency. What does Chief Commercial Officer mean? It means that I am Chief Product Officer and Chief Revenue Officer at the same time. So I'm running a product and I'm running sales and I'm also running marketing. So bringing together all the kind of commercial functions under myself.
I'll just introduce myself again in case you weren't in some of the other panels. So, Tamsin Hobley, I've got two jobs. I literally run the whole of the UK office here. So I'm what's called a country head, so kind of on the board. And then my day job, which is kind of more sales related, is I run our global alliances and partner team. So that's where we sell through partners and channels to banks and wealth managers, etc. So.
Probably through rhymes.
We do. We absolutely do.
Exactly.
Incestuous is business.
Yeah. So Theo Bell, I'm head of AI product at Rhymes, where I joined about a year ago. And what Rhymes does is we take data that's relevant, mostly for asset managers, but also asset owners and a few other segments, from 800 or more partners, including 6, and we sort of transform it and give it to our clients in whatever form they want. Okay, thanks for reminding us that we should introduce ourselves. How rude of me. Okay, so the first question is, what do you need to know about yourself to be successful in leadership?
Shall I go?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. It's a really good question. I would say to be successful in leadership, being a leader is it's quite a personal thing. I mean, there's no kind of cookie cutter mold in my mind to be a leader. I think you have to really lead with your head and your heart at the same time. And you really need to understand your head and your heart in order to be able to do with that. So for me, at least, becoming a leader, because I think it's a journey which also never should be ending. Always kind of self-improving. You really need to understand kind of what excites you. I think it's probably a theme which has come up a few of the panels I'm listening to today already, but kind of really what makes you tick and what do you believe in? Because to lead people, you really have to, show how committed you are. You have to believe in the mission and the vision. And that's something you can't really fake, I don't think. It has to be really true. And you have to get up in the morning, what are we doing today? How are we going to make it happen? To really bring everyone with you on the journey, because being a leader is about being part of a team. And that's really important. And so from my perspective, it's been a journey figuring out what gets me up in the morning. I've certainly made some decisions in my career, which at the time people probably thought were interesting decisions, maybe lateral moves or even taking a step back to go forward. But that's all for me, at least, about finding really kind of what inspires me. And then also the head side of things, it's being a leader, you have to make difficult decisions. It's not for everyone. I also don't think everyone should feel pressured to kind of be a leader. There's lots of brilliant, successful people, both professionally and financially, who are individual contributors. And again, remember, we're all different people. We all bring different things to the table. But again, you have to, as I say, head and your heart are very important.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's strange because I started out in a job that was taking me to leadership. I was on like a graduate program. It was in banking. And the ultimate was that it was in retail. So, I was managing branches for High Street Bank. So I was leading. But what you just said there really, really resonates because I didn't actually enjoy it. And I think it's because I wasn't actually enjoying the job, even though I was enjoying the people aspect of leadership. Now I really love my leadership position because actually I enjoy what I'm doing. I wake up feeling inspired and thinking about new ideas. And I think that, leadership to me is actually, it's about the impact I can have on an organisation and cultural and changes and things like that. But it's actually really about people. And I think it was said on one of the other ones that, I'm not good at everything. There's some things I'm really bad at, but I've got people around me who are really good at those things. And I think a sign of a really good leader is actually about connecting with people on a personal level, on a professional level, and actually listening to lots of different perspectives as well. I'm not always right. My husband might disagree with me, but I'm not always right. But a lot of the people around me are, and they've got some really good ideas. So I think it's actually having that kind of diverse approach and taking lots of different perspectives and being an empathetic leader as well. And being really curious, you know, kind of understanding like, well, how could we do that? And how could we make that work better? You know, but setting a clear vision as well. Like, here's where we want to go. How can we, between us, get there? What do we need to do to get there?
Okay, I think I'm going to start with the next question.
Yeah.
So we're doing a dynamic panel here. Okay.
It's well organized.
Yeah, we thought ahead. Okay, how do you build your brand how did you build your brand on your journey?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long journey. I guess one of the things that I even thought that brand was a weird word. Like, I don't have a brand. Like, but you do, even amongst your family, your friends. Like, it's sort of that perception that when people think of you, they think, oh, she's, you know, whatever kind of thing. And I think it's sort of, there's a lot of internal stuff, but then thinking a little bit more externally, what you can do is just get out there and talk to people. Come to events like this. It's a great way to meet people. You know, the only reason I'm here is because I met James at one point and he's brought me to events and things like that. And sort of like, so networking is key. And I know it can sound cringeworthy and like my husband hates it, but it doesn't have to be horrible. It's just people. It's just talking to people and getting to know people and sort of different people, so that when you have a different problem than you had last week, you can go to a different person and ask for advice. And so I think sort of formal or informal networking is super important. And also, you know, LinkedIn. I think a lot of people have sort of connected with me on LinkedIn, and that's great. Things like that, really. I think.
Yeah, I think when you talk brand, it's about actually kind of like you've got the external brand and the internal brand. I think when you're looking at getting into leadership, your brand is really important. You know, you've got to show that you take ownership of things. You've got to show that you know how ambitious you are. You've got to go for opportunities that maybe we've talked about getting outside your comfort zone, but actually can be quite scary. I think I've taken on a lot of jobs that really are bigger than probably my skill set at that time. But when you evaluate what you're good at and focus on that and then realise what you can work on or self-develop, and I think self-development is really important as well. But I think the other thing that's really helped me in my career is having sponsors and mentors. So you can have a coach, which is kind of like helping you in the function and the job that you're doing. But a mentor is somebody that kind of really can guide and advise you. And a sponsor is someone that can really be an advocate for you and help you, like, get you to the next level of your career and push you forward. And I think that at lots of different stages in my career, I've had those kind of like, you know, coaches, mentors and sponsorships, which have really helped me with my own brand as well. And they've given me feedback. Feedback's really important. And I've had that coaching. I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, I'm a sponsor as well. You know, I think it's always continuing. I've still got people that are mentoring me because every day is a school day, you know? You're always learning, always learning.
But I think also we talked when I had our pep call about the importance of making it clear what it is that you want. Never assume that anybody knows that you want to be the next leader or you want to do X, Y, Z. Or even if you don't, make sure that that's clear as well, right? Because it's sort of on you to own your own journey. Kind of.
And you're not just leading as in I am, my job says I'm a leader.
Yeah.
You know, you can be leading in many different scenarios. You know, if there's a project, if there's a problem, take ownership, lead it, you know, drive it forward. You know, you don't need to be you don't have to wait to be given a task, you know. Just if you've got a great idea, go and speak to someone about it and then run with it. And that is leading something, you know, and that's a skill that you're going to develop that's really going to set you apart.
And that's how you demonstrate then that people should give you those positions of responsibility.
That's brand.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know how much time we've got left, but I think, you know, what I'm a real reflector. I look back on things all the time. So I'd like to ask you both, you know, if you could look back on, like, you know, your sort of, you know, younger self, like 10, 15 years ago, what advice would you give yourself and what are the do's and don'ts that you had in your career?
You go first.
Yeah, so me 10 to 15 years ago, advice I would have given myself would be probably trust my instincts a little bit more. I, at that stage, I started my career in trading. I then decided to go to be originally an unpaid intern at a startup, which at the time was quite a controversial decision, but actually one of the best decisions I ever made. I really wanted to understand technology and product more. But I really kind of overthought that decision. I really kind of stressed myself out. When looking back, it was the best decision I ever made. And then that got me into product, which then allowed me to learn about building things, which blew my mind. I was a bit ignorant to technology, and then I ended up actually doing another degree in computer science as opposed to going to do an MBA, which again everyone was like, that's pretty mental, why would you go do an MBA? And all those little decisions, it might on reflection look like I had some grand plan. I didn't. I was just really trusting my instincts, but on reflection I could have done more. I could have invested in myself more. I could have pushed myself more. And I think the other thing I'd also say is I kind of enjoy the journey. It might sound really corny, but I actually know even less now where I'm going to be in 10 years' time. That actually really excites me. I honestly don't know what country I'm going to be living in, what role I'm going to be living in, and that's amazing. But 10 years ago, it was even more. Like, I could have done anything. And I think I put a lot of pressure on myself to try and figure out what's the destination as opposed to kind of enjoy the journey. So also what I would say to you all is you're in the most amazing position now in your lives. You have so much to look forward to. You're going to meet amazing people. Some of us were just actually kind of laughing that I don't know if this is networking for you guys or networking for us, because there's so many people here, some of which I haven't seen for ages, and many of us have actually worked together or worked in the same company, and people I enjoy hanging out with, I enjoy spending time with. So I would say, really make sure you enjoy the journey, because certainly from my side, this is it. There's nothing going to be after this, or nothing before or after it. And so just, if you enjoy it, that will also be kind of self-executing, and people will see you enjoy what you do, and that will help you actually lead people, and that will actually help you get into these roles, because as I said, it's this is such an amazing kind of time in your career, so make sure you're doing something you can enjoy it and really appreciate the people as well. Oh, sorry.
I guess I would add, be brave and take risks. I had a boss once who asked me if I'd ever failed at work, and I said, of course not. He's like, maybe you haven't taken enough risks. And I was like, you're probably right. So don't be afraid to fail. Now, obviously, you don't want to totally disastrously mess up and get fired, but you can actually make quite a few mistakes if you have a reasonable reason for why you did something. And you also say, this is what I've learned from it and what I'm not going to do next time. So I think for me, it would be more about taking
risks. On that, so I guess from some people's perspective, took a risk in my career 18 months ago and went to go work for a company which unfortunately went into administration, which 10, 15 years ago would have been like, wow, that must have been the most terrible thing ever. Actually, it was still a really rewarding experience. I met some amazing people.
I'm sure you learned a ton.
I learned so much. So, working in a company which actually goes into administration, you do learn an awful lot of things very quickly. And so, again, from an outside perspective, it might have been, that must be terrible. People reached out to me on how it was, challenging on a human level. But from a career growth, it was actually, I learned a lot through, I guess, that not going the way anyone expected.
And I think that one other thing I would say is about mentorship. As you said, we still have mentors, right?
Yeah.
But there was several times when I realized in a situation, I thought I was the mentee and I was in fact the mentor.
Yeah.
And even you people can be mentors for people younger than you. And just always try to help as many people as you can, because I think they call it the 3 C's. You never know who's going to be a client, a colleague, or the third one I forgot. This is super embarrassing.
I have a
customer. That's fine. So, anyway.
Confidant.
Anyway, you never know where you're going to meet people again, because it's a small world. Even London's a small.
So I think we've got time maybe for
You've got 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
Yeah, it's still 5 past. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was on the hour.
Unless the agenda is wrong.
Questions? Anyone have any questions?
Yes,
Sorry.
I guess this is a question for all of you. What's that one quality of leadership you see in the other two panelists, starting with Bobby in terms of submission with brand?
Ooh.
Oh,
That's a good question.
we've only met like today, but I think I admire you both because you've obviously had like you've taken risks and taken different careers. And there's no straight line sometimes to get to where you want to get to, and I think you've taken the risk. So I think resilience is what I'm seeing. Complication.
I would say transparency.
Yeah.
You, and just
Yeah.
open. Just be like, this is who I am. This is what I've done. I'm not afraid to tell you what I've done wrong. Or
Yeah. I also think we had a little prep call and we all got chatting very quickly and we were just like, let's work together. Let's figure out how best to optimize the time for your benefit. But it wasn't any egos. It was like, how should we do this? And we just sort of organized and done.
You guys talked a lot about kind of how to be a leader, but
Yeah.
also like how to kind of like put ideas forward when you're an employee. And I was wondering if you guys could talk a little bit about like the relationship between like an employer and an employee, or like a leader and the person following. Like, like I guess when you're a leader, how do you be receptive to feedback? But then also like as someone that has a leader, how do you like share ideas and like come off like, kind of like in a positive way? And
Yeah.
not, yeah.
I anyone who's worked for Six, no, they see me whenever I'm here. I'm walking the floor. I go and say hello to everyone. I go and talk to everyone. I have conversations with people. My office is always open. My door is always open. People, I hope, think they can come and talk to me and come with their ideas. And so many brilliant ideas have come from people that I maybe only speak to, occasionally or at our socials and things like that. Because I think as a leader, you need to show that you are willing and open to receive ideas. And I don't, although I have responsibility, I still think I'm in one big team. There's no hierarchy where I'm concerned. I'm actually in this. We're all in this together. We're trying to grow, we're trying to evolve, we're trying to change. And all of us have to do that, including myself. So I like to think that I do take feedback. And I think we talked about the mentor, mentee. Quite often as a mentor, it's reverse mentoring as well. You get feedback, and that's really important.
yeah, I find it very rewarding being in the store.
Yeah.
You might think like, oh, sometimes like, not at all.
Yeah.
It's super valuable.
Yeah.
I would say come with solutions and not problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed something's broken and these are two things I think we could do about it, and I think we should do this one because nobody's ever going to be upset with that. Whereas if
Absolutely.
you just moan all the time, it's like,
Yeah, and I would really agree with that. I think if you're kind of maybe asking about how do you almost become a leader, to Tamsin's point, it should be a natural journey, kind of put things forward. And certainly in my experience, when I've suggested, to my boss at the time, I think we should do things differently. Sometimes that's been quite radical. Might be, honestly, we should turn left and not right. And there's going to be difficult conversations that, I have a responsibility to my boss and to the company to say, we need to turn left and this is why. And, it's having a solution and this is how we're going to execute it. This is the risk. This is like thinking about it holistically and knowing and trying to think about your blind spots because you would have missed something for sure. I think, the solution is really important and keep challenging because also building a team is about people who challenge you. It's really important and, it is that kind of, again, cliche adage that, you want to hire people who are going to one day be your successor and maybe take your job. And that's something as a leader you shouldn't be scared of. You should be embracing because that's how you're going to build the strongest team as well.
I'm all about hiring people that are better than me.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Makes me look good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is there any sort of like building off that, any sort of like habits or routines sort of within your role, maybe away from it, that sort of has enabled you to keep like that leadership mentality and also like, gain it as well?
So for me, lots of people like to why I'm like very consistent as a person. I get up very early. My husband's actually in the room, so he might just tend to go to the gym in the morning. I don't think things happen by magic. I don't believe in luck. I don't believe things just happen. You have to make them happen. And I think consistency in everything you do is one of the most important things. And it's all those decisions that you consistently make every day, which builds you into the person that you are. Be that investing in yourself, learning how you manage your time. So I don't think there's like for me at least, one kind of sweeping thing. But for me, it's just keeping that consistency, being true to yourself is really important. But being authentic, just being real, knowing that you don't have all the answers. It's okay to say you don't have all the answers. Those for me are probably the two things.
Yeah, I would say just be intentional with your time.
Yeah.
And, because I think in this sort of the deepness, I was alluding to, like, you only have one life, right? Like, this moment only happens once, whatever. But, like, if you really want to get up and spend 20 minutes on Twitter, by all means do it. But that's probably not going to get you to where you want to get to, right? So, like, just be intentional with how you spend your time, because that's the most limiting factor, really.
And I think making sure you take time to reflect. So I always make sure I'm really conscious about having like focused time, where I actually can think a little bit more strategically, because, life's really busy and you're rushing. And if you don't take a step back, sometimes you miss things. And I think also still looking at developing myself. So I still invest in myself as well. I make time to make sure that some of my kind of like personal development objectives are being met. And I think that's really important for everyone in the start of their career and at any stage in their career, still to be looking for all those learning and development opportunities.
And that sort of reflection and that feedback and the course correcting. Like, I've never had a plan. It's just, I just constantly sanity check and look back and be like, how did that go? Could I have done something differently? Yeah. And then you never really get too lost.
Yeah.
Cool.
Brilliant.
Yeah, round of applause for. Tamsin obviously around. You're around all day as well, I think.
Yeah.
Kate, you around?
I'll head off shortly.
Okay, right. People can connect with you on.
Yes,
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
for sure.
Some we already have, yeah.
Not Twitter.
And we've got lunch tonight, so it's lunch
That's
tonight.
it.
No, we've got one more second.
One more sentence.